Hi, my friend. Today I want to talk to you about something that might be a little bit controversial. What I want to talk to you about is the definition of the word bestseller. Now, I'm sure you've heard this word probably your entire life, and you may have your own definition of what bestseller means. But my guess is, based on the words best and seller, that you probably have some idea that it means like it's one of the best-selling books in this category, or this author has lots of books that have sold better than all the other books in this category, including the big guns, right? The word bestseller really indicates that you have a top-selling book in your category, fiction or nonfiction, or maybe some subcategory of nonfiction, right? What does it mean to people in the book publishing business? Because the fact is, it means something very, very specific that most authors I work with don't actually know. And the reason it's important for you to know this is because you need to make an informed decision about whether or not you are going to use the term bestseller in your bio, bestselling author, or on the cover of your book. So, what does it mean to the traditional US publishing industry? It means that you have hit one of the major newspaper lists. Now, the newspapers, they get their information in a variety of different ways. And with the biggest newspaper that does bestseller lists is, of course, the New York Times. And it's a very, very closely guarded secret how they determine whether a book is a bestseller or not. But most people sort of get the sense that generally it's like the best-selling books at Barnes & Noble and Amazon and all the other independent publishers or retailers, plus maybe library sales, things like that. Maybe the distributors like Ingram & Baker and Taylor, all of these different book-selling organizations, they pool their data and roughly come up with these list of maybe 10 best-selling fiction titles and 10 best-selling nonfiction titles per week, right? That is generally the picture. Now, many people complain about the New York Times because it is so secretive. Nobody really knows how they choose. And there are definitely books out there that sell more copies in a week than the books that are on the list, and they don't make the list. But you can be pretty sure that if a book has made that list, it's made a pretty big splash that week. Okay? That week, by comparison to the other books that are in its category on its particular list that week. Now, why is it that there are plenty of people out there that are calling themselves bestsellers who've never hit the, let's say, Washington Post list or the Wall Street Journal list or the USA Today list or the New York Times list? When the publishing business would only use that term if they'd hit one of those lists, why is it that so many people are out there calling themselves best-selling authors? Well, you could probably guess, because there is no actual overseeing organization that says, hey, you can't do that. And it sounds good, right? It's marketing. It's like, hey, I'm a best-selling author. But the problem with that, I totally understand the impulse, but the problem is that it makes the title meaningless. If you don't tell us what kind of bestseller you are, we don't know if you just pulled that right out of thin air, which many, many people do. I'll just tell you that right now. And I want to just say a call to those of you who want your books to be out there in the world because they're spreading truth and healing and great information that people need to hear, or wonderful stories people are going to enjoy reading, to actually think twice before you choose to call yourself a bestseller when you haven't actually hit that same sort of agreed upon measure that the other books that are out there are working with, right? I want you as a self-published author, for example, to be playing by the same rules as the traditional publishers. Now, I'm not saying that those publishers have it right. I'm not saying that those lists are everything, because they're not, but they do represent an aggregate of what is actually going on in the book business. What does not represent an aggregate is if you have a screenshot of yourself having hit number one in a category of a category of a category on Amazon, and you call yourself a bestseller. I would rather you be a little bit more forthcoming and say, I'm an Amazon category bestseller. That tells me something. It tells me that at one point you were the best-selling book in that category, in your category, but it doesn't suggest to me that you are a bestseller in the Amazon Hot 100, or that you've hit one of these major lists, that you're the bestseller overall in the main category your book is in, like nonfiction. And to me, I think I'm a rule follower. I'm somebody who is a little procedural in my mindset. I actually like to have a standard that we all decide together we're going to agree on. And things have changed so much in the last 10 years, where traditional publishing used to have the final say. And now there's sort of this whole other world of thought leaders and solopreneurs and self-publishing authors that have a whole other way of talking about their books. I think maybe we all need to get together and set a new measure. In the meantime, however, just let us know what kind of bestseller you're talking about. If your self-publisher, for example, sends you a list every week that tells you the top 100 books that are selling from that self-publisher, let us know that you are a bestseller at that self-publisher. That is actually meaningful. That you're a bestseller at your local bookstore, that's meaningful to me. But I want to know where the bestsellerdom is coming from, right? And to have it actually be tied back to something that is concrete and that we can all agree on, that we understand the meaning of it, rather than it becoming a meaningless term, which if we continue on the way we are, which maybe my little trying to get on my soapbox here and talk you guys out of calling yourselves a bestseller when you're not, I may be old news, right? This may be just, the train maybe has already left the station. But I just wanted to say, from my perspective, that I feel like it's really important for us to agree together on what bestseller means. And the start is to let us know anytime you use that term, what kind of a bestseller you're pointing to. Okay, so that's my 2 cents for the day. I would love to hear from you because I know this is a controversial topic. Feel free to leave me a comment below, but definitely subscribe to this channel because this is where I give you all the information my 20 years of being a book editor has accumulated, and I hopefully will help you get your wonderful story, amazing message onto the page and into the world. So for now, I'll say happy writing, and I will see you again soon.